Hey, what's going on? JP here. In this video, I'm going to talk about lessons learned from my first real estate investment. My first real estate investment was really a single family rental. There's a story behind that. Basically, I was in the process, already on board with apartment investing. I joined a coaching group. I was doing the lessons. I was joining coaching calls. I was learning how to underwrite, all that stuff. I had made a partnership with a friend of mine, and he wasn't doing the training. I was. And my level, my understanding of apartments were growing and growing, and his wasn't because he was having a full-time job. So this opportunity came about where we were going to co-invest together, him and I, and then a friend of his in Midland, Texas. The idea was all three of us would kind of pool our money together, and each of us would buy a single-family rental. Now, my goal in getting into real estate was really getting into apartments, multifamily. And this single-family thing seemed like an opportunity to, at least in our minds at the time, to kind of get our feet wet, to get some experience in operating a property and doing something. I don't know. We totally had shiny object syndrome. Anyway, so we all joined together. We bought, each of us bought our own respective properties. I inherited a renter that was in there, and I got the worst of all of them. I got a crappy tenant who didn't pay rent. I had to constantly chase them down. Now, I was living in New Jersey. They were in Midland, Texas, which is a boom bust city. When they're booming, like the job growth, the rents, all of those things are going through the roof. And when they're busts, it like seemingly overnight just kind of goes away. Anyway, I just inherited this terrible tenant, and I learned so many lessons around why I really didn't like and why I shouldn't have invested in single family rentals, and really why apartments shine. So one of those might seem obvious, looking back, it's 100% clear. And I kind of harp on this a lot when I talk to people about, wanting to get into real estate for all the same reasons that I talked about. Like, I wanted to get something started. So, the idea that you get your feet wet, buying a single family rental is a way to get started in apartments. Eventually, I sort of call it as bullshit. It really is extra work. So like, if your idea is to create passive income, buying a single family rental that you're going to rent out with a third party property manager, there are better ways to spend your money. There are better ways of spending your time without having the risk. A lot of people think that buying an apartment complex or being a partner in an apartment complex deal, the sort of deals that we do, is risky. And I would make the argument that buying a single family rental is way more risky. You've got one single tenant. In my case, I had a couple. It was, we'll call them John and Mary. I don't remember their name. Deshaun, that was his name, Deshaun. Deshaun didn't like paying rent. He worked in the oil fields. He didn't like paying his rent. So I had to chase him down every single month. And when he didn't pay his rent on time, guess who was paying the rent? The mortgage, rather. I was, right? And so the same case for you. If you've got a renter in there that's not paying, or they come on hard times, which everyone does, that's why you're living in an apartment complex and not living in a single family house, you're going to be on the hook for paying the mortgage there. And the whole name of the game here is leverage, right? You want someone else to be paying off your mortgage. You want someone else to be creating equity in that property for you. And if they're not paying you, they're not creating the equity, and they're not paying the mortgage and all those things. So that was really a big kind of wake-up call for me, is single family rentals stink. I don't like doing them. I learned a ton of lessons about them, and hopefully you won't make the same mistakes that I did. The other piece too that I'll share with you along those lines there is, if you do happen to go down the path and you don't want to listen to me, and you get a single family rental, make sure the utilities are in their name. You got to contact the water company, the electric company, the gas company, and let them know that there's a renter in there and that the utility bills should be in their name. Why? Why, you ask? Well, when they're not in their name, you are liable as the property owner for those bills. So in this case, Deshaun had run up a water bill that was about $1,400 over the course of months, because he never paid it. So guess where that bill went to? Yours truly. I had to pay that bill on top of all the the other payments that I had to pay because he wasn't paying his rent. So the big takeaway here is single families, they can work, but in my opinion, if you've got cash, $50,000 or $100,000, and you want to put it to work for you in real estate, apartments just make way more sense, especially if you really want to take the passive approach. If you want a full-time job and you want work to do, then go have at it. Single family rentals are the way to go. But in my opinion, apartments are the king of passive investing. All right, see you next time. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more content.